Right then, I think it is time for us to have a little conversation about Harry Maguire. Now, he's got a lot of attention for performances this season, and he's had to step up given the sheer number of injuries that we've faced over the course of this entire season. And I think opinion is divided, putting it mildly, on just how good Maguire has been. And all you have to do is look at Twitter to see completely polar opinions on him, and some stuff that's just plain wrong, and some stuff that's a little bit of a misunderstanding. Now, I think there are positives, and I actually think that Maguire this season has brought some of those positives to United. I disagree that he's just got his head down and dealt with whatever and worked hard, which is something that people are using to criticise other players in the side, because he was doing a lot of bumping his gums early in the season, talking about his win rate and this, that and the other. But at the core, there is someone that is very good at defending his box. Aerially, he is genuinely undeniable. He wins a lot in the air, and he is able to make a block in the top range. And even his clearances and interceptions are more than decent statistically. When we're chasing a game, Maguire often steps up and provides valuable opposition in the final third. And his percentile stats show him to be a pretty decent attacking centre-half as well. He's in the 95th to 97th kind of percentile for non-penalty goals. But also, like, he's quite up there for assists and stuff as well. Now, there's obviously not a large volume of either goals or assists, but you're comparing him against other centre-halves, not comparing him against centre-forwards, and he comes out quite favourably on those. But those aren't the full story. Straight away, Maguire is not the astute ball-playing centre-half that some Twitter tacticos will make you out to be. Now, they call him elite, and he's far from elite. And we can show this with stats, and we can show this with the eye test, and we can demonstrate this to you by going and just watching him play. If you watch his passes, most of the time you'll see him passing a ball behind the person that he's passing it to. Now, the stat will show a completed pass, but is that fair if we either immediately lose possession or if we immediately have to pass the ball back to Maguire because that person was the wrong decision at the wrong time with the wrong technique and all the rest of that sort of stuff? Maguire gets a tick in the stat box, and whoever he's passed it to gets dispossessed. And that's the problem with looking entirely through stats. You have to be able to marry both up. If we don't lose possession, the ball can just get returned back to him for him to, take probably a couple more touches than is required. His build-up play isn't slow. Physically, he is slow, but it feels like there's a decision-making. I've seen people try and claim that he's baiting presses. I don't think that's the case, because he doesn't wait until someone's actually pressing him. He's quite often left. I think the opposition leave him in possession and they will go mark his options. The favourite Harry Maguire pass is the pass to the fullback. I personally think it's a lazy pass. I don't see him breaking lines and moving the ball into midfield. I don't see him drawing someone into 4 or 5 metres away from him where he is in danger and then breaking the lines and passing it through to somebody in midfield so they can get on the turn and they can start moving the ball up the pitch. With Maguire's passing, it has to be watched. People say he's a great progressor of the ball. Well, if you've got a fullback on the halfway line and you're 20 metres inside your half, this is something you'll see Maguire doing. He'll pick the ball up and he'll run forward with it and he'll progress over the halfway line and then he'll pass it backwards to the fullback who's stayed standing on the halfway line. Maguire's taken himself out of the game, but he's got a progressive carry. I wouldn't call it stat padding, because I don't think he's deliberately doing it to go and just increase his stats. I just think it's not the best decision-making. And I think when you compare his progression to that of Lisandro Martinez when he's played there, it really starts to look a little bit more unfavourable. But I do think it's fair to say, you don't really see Johnny Evans progressing it, but Johnny Evans holds possession in a slightly different way to Harry Maguire. I think it's fair to say that Maguire's been one of the better centre-halves for Manchester United this season, but it's a fucking low bar. You're talking Johnny Evans being right up there with who's been our best centre-half this season. Now, when you look at the likes of City and Brighton, you will see centre-halves driving forward or even putting their foot on top of the ball. That is to initiate an opposition press. And Maguire will drive it forward, and sometimes he will stand on the ball, but I don't think it is to do that, bait. I think he's just a bit slow with it. Sometimes the ball will come to him where a first-time pass is on and it doesn't get played. I think the decision-making of Maguire deserves criticism. I think the way that he plays makes some people think he's doing the right thing. He's moving the ball forward. But when he loses the ball, or we're no longer +1 at the back because he's driven it forward, it's not a positive influence on the team. And Maguire's pace or lack of then is a big influence in a lot of the lack of tackles that you get. Centre-halves don't make anywhere near as many tackles as, say, fullbacks or number 6s do, especially if they're in a possession, high-line kind of side. But there's definitely something in being the 23rd percentile for defenders for tackles with only 1.13 per 90. Now, you could forgive this if we weren't conceding, as many shots as Sheffield United. But the amount of shots that United concede per game, one of our centre-halves has to be cutting them out a lot quicker. Now, we've defended our own box well at times. Certainly, if there's crosses that are involved, I'm quite comfortable with Maguire dealing with those because he is excellent in the air, provably by many metrics, plus the eye test that he's good in the air. He wins stuff. He even wins stuff in the opposition box. He just doesn't seem to be able to convert it into the amount of goals for how many he wins. But when you look at United conceding the same goal, that fucking cutback every single game, where's he for that? I think Maguire's career at United has been saved by injuries. Do I think he will stay? Really unsure on that, to be honest. I think there will be an opportunity for him to move on. I think that United will sign another centre-half. Whether or not they'll sign two, I think if they lose Maguire, and they could lose Evans as well, and Varane, you can't just replace that with one and hope Lisandro Martinez is going to stay fit next season. Lisandro Martinez's fitness is a big concern because he's such an important player for Manchester United. He's an excellent defender, he's an excellent progressor of the ball, and he's so quick and decisive with what he does. I don't know how United deal with him being injured again. I'm sure we're going to sign one. Whether or not Maguire stays depends on whether we sign two. I think he could go to a mid-table, lower half Premier League team and look fine, and look absolutely fine. But I think if United want to be competing for titles and even top four, there are better defenders out there than Harry Maguire. The problem is the ones who are better aren't reliable when it comes to injuries, and the ones that are reliable when it comes to injuries aren't better. Massive decisions to be made by Ineos this summer. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.